Welcome to 2021. Today I want to talk to you about the Investigators Toolbox. Many of the folks who listen to this program actually have already signed up and have joined this online community for investigators and the investigative community. It's a place to go for networking. It's a place to go for continuing education, watching webinars, doing your continuing education credit. It's a place also to read up on the latest trends in the industry, stay on top of all the news articles. It's actually supported by some really great businesses that support our industry. They're offering discounts and benefits actually for your membership. And then the OSINT catalog. We've got a huge OSINT catalog that you can make your own private library. You essentially pick and choose what you want to be in your library, however you do your research. Check it out today. It's www.investigators-toolbox.com. Listeners of the show, if you use the code PIP201836, you'll save an extra 20%. Investigators-toolbox.com. Go check it out today.
PI Perspectives.
Are you using a case management system? The answer is no. You should really rethink that process. Right. So as you guys know, Crosstracks has been an amazing sponsor of the show. They've just been really supportive. As you guys also know, I didn't used to have a case management system. I was the investigator that was fighting them tooth and nail. I finally decided to give it a whirl. What a great decision, right? During the COVID shutdown, I was able to actually roll my whole business into it and get completely up and running. And my clients love it. I mean, just today, I got a phone call from a client of mine who just couldn't believe how easy it was to access everything and how invoices were there. He actually asked me to go back and upload all my prior cases and put it into Crosstracks. I've been doing business with that firm for, about 8 years, so it's a lot of cases. Yeah, if you don't use a case management system, you should, right? You should check it out. Give Crosstracks a shot. Contact Brad or one of the teammates over there, and they'll get you up and running with a trial and see if it's for you. If you have used Crosstracks and it's been a while and you're not happy with the system that you're in, go check them out. They're doing a lot of really cool new things and see if it's right for you. If you're unhappy with the system that you're in right now, contact them. The ability for them to roll your system into their system is very easy. Again, you guys know they've been sponsoring this program, and I can't say enough good things about them, but make your own decision, right? Give it a shot on your own and see if it's right for you.
Welcome to 2021. We made it. We hope you all had a great holiday, and we have some great shows lined up for you in the coming weeks. We want to welcome our new sponsor, Merlin Locate Services. Make sure you reach out to them for those hard-to-solve skip traces. We're also happy to welcome back the PI Institute for Education, a great resource for learning. Now today's guest is Seema Iyer. Matt and Seema go back, way back. They walked the halls of John Jay College of Criminal Justice back in the 90s. Seema went on to practice criminal law and most recently has transitioned into investigative journalism and is an anchor on Core TV. Let's kick off the year and drop in on these two as they catch up and give us valuable information. Please welcome Seema Iyer and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome everybody to 2021. This is our first episode of PI Perspectives for the new year, and I'm very excited to welcome a dear old friend, Seema Iyer. Seema, how are you?
I am thrilled to see you, Matt. Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. We go way back. Many skeletons in the closet that we're not.
I think it's 30 years now. 30 years.
I'm old. Not quite. Maybe 30
You are
years.
just as adorable as the first day I met you. And I'm so proud of all that you have accomplished during 2020, the worst year of all of our lives, and a global pandemic. And just congratulations, my friend.
Well, this show is not about me, but thank you very much. Today we're here to talk about you. It's not quite 30 years. I'm not going to cop to that, but somewhere in between that and 20, we'll just say. So you and I met at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and neither one of us became law enforcement. You actually became an attorney, and I took a different route. So,
do you remember that our best friend Gabe used to call it John Jay School of the Blind? Or he used to call it John Jay College of the Criminally Insane.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Both of us definitely were. But I will say this. I think John Jay is so underrated with how well it prepared me
Yeah.
for a career in law.
You should see it now. It's really amazing now, actually. I've taught there now. I've gone back and taught. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then I'll get a call to do like a guest spot, like, which is crazy because I never thought I would be, here's this kid who graduated, couldn't even get a job in law enforcement. Now I'm going back and I'm teaching people how to do stuff. So really, really, really cool. So you ended up going the lawyer route, right? You became an attorney and you worked for the Bronx DA's office, I think, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
That's right. That's right. So my first job was as a prosecutor in the Bronx. The greatest job I have had in my life, probably hands down. It was just an incredible experience. So yes, I wasn't sure. I did want to go into law enforcement like you. I wanted to do federal law enforcement. That wasn't happening. I was thinking about journalism back then. And I had a professor who said, I really think you should go to law school. And that's what propelled me to go to law school. And the only job I wanted was to be a prosecutor.
Right.
And I wanted specifically to work in the Bronx because the Bronx is one of the most diverse communities in our country. It's 80%. In the Boogie Down is 80% ethnic population, I guess you could say. And it had a high crime rate back then. And if you want to be a prosecutor and crime is your business, it's the best place to go. So it was an incredible experience. And then I moved on to defense at some point after that.
Right. So I think you and I reconnected at that point when you started your own law practice doing criminal defense. And even at one point we were talking about doing work together and I'm like, not really my gig, but I mean, got something, I'll take it. And it was all like I had to be impaneled. And honestly, I just
right.
I never did it.
That's right. Yeah. So when I became a defense attorney, and I was a defense attorney primarily it was about 16 years, in New York City, that is when I really learned the value of investigative work, how much I valued my investigators, how many cases I did with them. I mean, it's so different, I think, being a defense attorney because you work as a team and you rely on your investigators.
Sure.
And some of I always say that some of the funniest moments of my life have been with investigators.
Yeah.
Like Thanksgiving morning, and one of my investigators, his name is Miles, and I think he's like 7 feet tall. And I was trying to find a witness, and he literally lifted me to her window so I could knock on the window. And then she came out and called the cops on me. It was the best Thanksgiving of my life.
Who's this creepy lady knocking on my window?
So creepy. And, I'm talking like creepy creeperson because I probably had like a ski cap, no makeup, sunglasses, an Adidas tracksuit.
I wish somebody took photos. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So investigators are just priceless.
So when you were doing, let's touch on that a little bit. So when you were doing the criminal defense, I mean, what would you say would be the areas where maybe the criminal investigators fell short at times, or they weren't getting you what you needed?
That's a great question. A lot of times I felt that there wasn't enough follow-up. And also, so the problem is, number one, if you're on the panel, if you're on a court-appointed panel as an investigator, you are not making that much money.
On a budget, right?
Right. So it's not the investigator's fault. It's just that to sustain a living, the investigator has to have hundreds of cases. If you have 100 cases, that probably involves a dozen lawyers, maybe more, maybe 20 lawyers. So think about it, Matt. You can't, I don't blame the investigator because you just can't sustain that type of schedule and that type of juggling. So that is where I felt a lot of times I had to do my own investigations.
Yeah.
And the problem is you get in trouble, right? Because especially female, going to crime scenes, doing things alone.
Knocking on windows. Hey, come out. I just want to talk to you. I'm going to ski mask. It's cool.
See, it's fine if I'm doing the phone calls, right? That type of activity is okay. But as a lawyer, if you get yourself in a situation where you could get hurt, then other people get involved. So that was the problem with the investigators. And I will say, I always fought, and I advise other lawyers to do the same. Always fight for more pay for your investigator. You can prepare an affidavit and ask the court, under these certain circumstances, exceptional circumstances, that my investigator deserves to make more money because he or she, lifted me in someone's window on Thanksgiving morning instead of being with their family making a freaking turkey.
So why wasn't that
Can
guy?
we curse on this podcast?
No, please don't do that.
Okay, well.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but kids sometimes listen to this stuff. So I want to
your kids, one of your 6 kids listens. Go ahead.
Exactly right. I'm Amish today. I'm trying to understand why this guy wasn't playing basketball if he's 7 feet tall.
He did. He retired. He played, I think something, and then he was a bouncer or something. But yeah, he did. He was an ex-athlete.
Fantastic, living the stereotype. It's beautiful. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. So I've actually, I mean, I don't want to say I've never done criminal work because I have done a little bit. So I have a few of my clients that actually do pro bono stuff, and I had the opportunity to get involved with a fraud case. And it was very interesting, the whole dynamics of like how I got paid, and I had to put a proposal for it, to how many hours, and that whole back and forth. So I can appreciate actually what you're saying because, there was that whole, the judge has to sign off on how much you're getting paid. And then I have to balance like, okay, here's my budget. What's the most important thing I need to get done here? Because I know I'm limited with budget. And there was a point I think we had to go back and ask for more, and thankfully they gave more. The funny part about this case is, I was killing it. I was getting all this stuff done, and then all of a sudden, I just took a plea, and I'm like done. I'm like, no, but
it is the worst. That's the worst.
Do that, like I'm close.
That is the worst, especially and I can say, and I have done some civil work as well. But as a criminal defense attorney, when you're really with your investigator building up a case, you're more and more excited to hold the prosecution, hold their feet to the fire, and go to trial. And if you don't get to go to trial, it's tough.
This was a very interesting case because the lady who was charged, she got herself involved in one of these no fault schemes where it was like one of these mills with the doctors that they were false billing Medicaid or Medicare and no fault and all that. And she literally was just a lady who had a car accident who got offered $1,000 to go treat at a particular facility, not knowing that it's illegal to do that.
Yeah.
And is saying like, I'm struggling right now to pay my rent. Here's somebody, offering me a G to go to this facility. Why would I not take it? And she did, and she got herself involved in this ring. So when they took down everybody, they took her down too. And she was facing jail time for it.
I've seen a lot of those cases, those rings. And it is really sad how people prey upon the uneducated and the financially struggling.
What saved her actually was the fact that from doing more time anyway, what saved her from doing more time was the fact that she actually had a legitimate injury. So she was injured in this car accident. So they would say like, like she needed to treat somewhere. Just the fact that these people offered her money, was crazy. So she ended up taking a plea on that. So I was like, darn it. I tracked down employees and, we were really making some headway on this stuff and, just took a plea and that's that. And now we keep it moving. So very, very interesting. That was, every other time I get the call for criminal investigative work, I'm like, it's not really my specialty, but I know
it's so fun though.
Yeah,
it really is so fun. And investigations were absolutely the most fun I would have as a criminal defense attorney. Right. I just loved it. Like I loved going to the scenes and finding witnesses and going at crazy hours on the weekends, being with my investigators. It's just the best.
So how many investigators would you be working with at one time?
It's usually 1 or 2. So the agencies that I worked with, they would usually just send me with one person, sometimes 2.
Right.
But I think it's also important to develop relationships with your investigators, and you have to get along with them.
Yeah.
And I think Sense of humor is important.
Sure.
Sense of humor is really important. Do you have time for a funny story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the best. Okay, so and people can Google this.
It better be funny. I mean, you're building.
This is good. Okay, this is good. So people can Google this. I represented a guy, and this must have been like 2012, 2013, maybe. He was accused, and he took a plea. Stabbed his ex-girlfriend, I think 80 something times.
Only 80.
Had sex with the dead body.
Ew.
87 times. I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. Anyway, so whatever. So he did that. And then after he kind of told me, confessed, he said he wanted to go to trial. So I put together what I called, they called it, the New York Post called it the witch doctor defense or voodoo. I think something in the New York Post says it. So your listeners can Google. And basically I was trying to say that his religion, his specific sect of Islam propelled him to do this. Right. So he told me to go talk to his imam. So I go talk to his imam and I go with my investigator. So my investigator and I together, we go talk to the imam.
The 7-foot guy or somebody else?
No, this is another one. This is like shorter white guy. So we go talk to the imam in this Bronx apartment. Yeah. And we're in the apartment and we're talking to the imam and he's like, okay, well, because I want him to testify that this is part of the religion. Did
you take your shoes off when you went into his house?
No, I don't think they made us do. I know, right? But there was like no bed. There was like this weird mat on the floor or whatever, a prayer room. So no, I can't say it's weird because I'm a Hindu, so I get it. So okay, we go in and you're gonna like this. So we go in and they say, okay, we'll have him testify. He can come to court, but we have to do a sacrifice first. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean sacrifice?
Bring me the virgins.
They go, come with me. Oh. Matt, you're not going to believe it. We go into another room. I'm sitting here with my investigator. His name is Michael. We go into the room. So I'm like looking this way, right? All of a sudden I look up. There is a man. He must have been standing on a stool with a bed sheet, like as if like a skirt, and the lights were off. And he's like, I'm not lying, by the way, this actually happened. He goes, I have to sacrifice a goat. And to sacrifice the goat, you have to pay me $2,500. So Michael and I, and he's my investigator, like I love him, but we're not like affectionate. We start holding hands. We're like, this is it. Like, this is it. We are going to die because this guy's talking about killing a goat. He's all the way above us. There's no lights. The door's shut. We have nowhere to get out. And we said, yeah, sure. We're going to get the money. We're going to go get the money. We agreed to everything. Yeah. And we ran out of there. Yeah. Like, it was the craziest thing that I've ever experienced in the world. And we were scared. We were really scared.
I would have went back with $2,000 just for the story. Take it or leave it, buddy.
To negotiate the killing of the goat.
Yes.
It was insane. It was one of the best. I mean, I have so many. I had so much fun with my investigators.
Well, the goat thanks you for not paying that money. All right. Well, this is a good spot to take a break. So we're going to jump out and we're going to check in with our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what you did after law, because you had this whole career after practicing law, and I want to touch on that. I want to touch on what you're doing now because I'm really excited for you because I think there's some good stuff coming down the pipe for you. So everybody, sit tight. We will be right back.
PI Perspectives. Are you overwhelmed with your current caseload? Could you use some help with your skip trace assignments? With Merlin Locate Services, rather than adding staff, you can add an entire skip trace department of licensed private investigators who specialize in skip tracing. Check out merlinlocate.com today. When you work with Merlin Locate Services, you bring on a valuable experience and trusted extension to your team. What do you do when you get calls for bug sweeps? Did you know USABugSweeps.com, the #1 TSCM provider in the country, pays you a 20% commission for converted sales leads? Stop turning money away. USABugSweeps.com uses top-rated technology, and they cover all of the United States. So save time and make money today. Contact USABugSweeps.com and mention PIP20. Do you work with an insurance agency that takes the time to give you the personal attention you deserve? Well, contact Michelle Knoll and her team to get the best customer service and attention available. You never need insurance until you really need insurance. So keep yourself and your business protected. Contact Michelle at mknoll@amoscorp.com. PI Perspectives. Want full data access without a site inspection? IRB Search gives you full Social Security numbers, dates of birth, up-to-date contact info, and so much more, without the inconvenience or cost of an inspection. As an added bonus, you can access IRB data on any device in any location. You'll always have the best data, anytime, anywhere. Visit irbsearch.com and use exclusive promo code PIPOD2021 for a free trial and 100 credits. Offer available for new and returning customers. Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the Investigators Toolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes. Hey, did you hear about the latest issue of PI Magazine? Our friend, Andrea Roscoe, has been named PI Magazine's Investigator of the Year. Congrats, Andrea. It's well-deserved indeed. This issue is available today. Quick announcement, save the date for February 19th, 2021. NALI will announce its next virtual seminar in a few weeks. You're going to love the lineup of speakers. And there's your PI Perspectives PSA. Back to Matt and Seema.
Welcome back to PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host, and we are here with my good friend Seema Iyer. Seema, welcome back to the program.
You're so cute. I can't even get over how cute you are.
Stop it.
I feel like, it's just thinking about our lives and just still knowing you is really, really nice.
Nostalgia, yeah.
It's very nostalgic, and I'm so excited to be here. This is really fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's great catching up. I'm glad we were able to reconnect. And so where we left off, a goat had been spared and lived another day. Something tells me the goat probably didn't make it to the next day after that, but that's not on you. It's on somebody else. Let's move into your next gig there. So you actually, you're still an attorney, but
yes.
you parlayed that into media. Opportunity to get involved with media. And really I asked you to come on today because you're an investigative journalist, right? And that's really what you're doing now. And I thought it was really interesting for somebody to be involved in investigations, dealing with investigators, and now essentially becoming an investigator news-wise and,
sure.
and what that looks like. And, we wanted to talk about it. So tell me a little bit how you transitioned from being an actual attorney to now being a journalist. How'd that happen?
Well, I will say that, not the GOAT case specifically, but just generally, and it happens to a lot of people, Matt, criminal defense really burns you out. It really just hurts your soul. It's very difficult to be in that environment and have to advocate falsehoods to juries, to judges. It's a really hard life. Right. And I also thought that there was just part of me that was so drawn to the news. As you know, I had appeared as a talking head. I've been a legal analyst in a lot of news outlets. You've been on TV. Yes, and I've been very, very lucky, and it's been wonderful. Yep. But when I, in 2017, and in 2017, I was anchoring more, and anchoring is you're being legal analyst / reading the prompter.
Right.
And it was really an epiphany where I just said, I want to learn the news. I want to actually learn the foundation. It was like practicing law without going to law school. That's
Sure.
the best example I can give to people.
Okay.
So I was very lucky. Things moved. I had enough, to put a reel together. My agent, she's an animal. You would love her. She's just an animal. And she's one of my dearest friends. And so she believed in me. She got me a job, and I went to Columbus, Ohio as an anchor/general assignment reporter.
Okay.
And this was also really interesting because I still didn't make the connection that I would want to do investigative journalism. But when I was in local news, frankly, I was just bored. I just had this feeling, I need to develop stories, because when you're a general assignment reporter, a lot of people don't know this. Let's say you come in the morning at 8 a.m. You have to find a story, put things together so you can report it on the 4 or 5 p.m. news. It's called a day turn.
Right.
I wanted the more like long investigative building relationships type of situation. So on my time off, on the weekends, mornings, nights, I was just, meeting people, developing contacts. It really helped that I was a lawyer. I cannot stress that enough. There are so many people that immediately trusted me because I was a lawyer. I was really
those goats, man.
I know, right?
Stay away from her.
But I was, and yeah, you're right, because people always think like liar, liar, especially Seema Iyer, liar, liar. But no, it was just the opposite. I was getting making so many connections. So I just can't say how great WSYX Channel 6 in Columbus, Ohio. My bosses, I was working on something. I took it to one of my bosses, and I talked to him about it, and then I get an email. We want to see you in our office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, I'm totally getting fired. Like, I don't know what I was only there for maybe less than 2 months. I was only there for less than 2 months. I assumed that I did something wrong.
Right.
They came in, they shut the door.
Yeah.
If they're shutting the door, this is not going to go well, right?
Yeah.
They shut the door, and then they say, we made a really big mistake. And I'm like,
brother,
where am I going to go now?
Yeah.
So they said, we were idiots. You're a lawyer. You're a natural investigator. You should be on the investigative team. And it was like that. They promoted me. And it was incredible. But it's scary, which is why I'm really excited to sign up for your website, by the way. What's the website?
Oh, Investigators Toolbox. Look at you getting me the plug.
Thank you. Yeah, no. I'm totally serious, folks. I'm totally serious about this, because when I was, I use so much of my legal background to be an investigative journalist, to make connections. And I knew some databases like Lexis and, FOIA and stuff like that, but I don't have everything. And I need that because I'm still an investigative journalist. And hopefully by the time the podcast comes out, I can announce my next job.
Very big things for you coming. Yep.
Yeah, but the point is, there's a lot of that, but it was such a natural fit. Matt, I love it so much. It is really like being a lawyer, a writer, and an investigator. It's so much fun. I love the running around. I love the people. I love the documents. See, people don't like investigative journalism because they hate looking at documents. I love documents.
Yeah, of course. You read depositions. Of course.
I love it. So that's what happened in Columbus. They were great to me. I loved it. It was incredible. I did a lot of Catholic Church, like exposition of Catholic Church abuse.
Oh, there's a lot of that going on now. Yeah, that's
election fraud.
Yeah, especially in New York right now. They're one of the states that have these prior sex assault. The statute is lifted now. It stayed. So I think it's for another year now. So I've got tons of these cases I've worked on. You want to talk about investigations and trying to find like the vice president or vice principal from 1968 at a high school in Brooklyn. That's the kind of stuff that I've been doing.
Well, no, that's exactly it. I got led to a case through a lawyer that I became friendly with in Ohio, and he led me to one of his clients who had been abused by a nun. So this was very different. 40 years prior. He was living in Wisconsin. He drove from Wisconsin to Columbus to go on camera. He's never gone on camera. This is an older man. He had a lot of health problems because of the abuse, because of some family problems. And this is the power of local news, Matt, because even to this day, he says that before he spoke to me on camera, he was thinking about suicide all the time. He was really, 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 and just freeing himself has changed his life.
Wow.
This is why I want to do this.
Yeah, that's why you do this. Yeah. It's funny because, hearing you say all this stuff and talking about, being a lawyer and all that. So, I've talked about my story about how I had the opportunity to become a lawyer and decided not to. I wanted to do investigations instead. I literally walked away from admission to a law school and that freak out moment. And
because you're so smart. That's why.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I know you would have been a great lawyer, but you're really smart. You were in Thematic Studies, right?
I was, yeah. That's a John Jay insider. So
go ahead.
I went to John Jay back in the 90s.
Inside baseball.
We'll know what we're talking about. Just that freak out and saying, I want to help people. I want to solve problems. I want to understand why something happened. That to me was more interesting than motion practice, because I had started doing motion practice and I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. I don't want to read you hundreds and hundreds of pages of deposition to find that thing. Like, that's something you may like doing it. I didn't like doing that. I wanted to get out on the streets and figure out why something happened. That was my thing. And I think that's what investigators have, that natural knack for doing. Either you have it or you don't.
No, you're absolutely right. What I mean, and I completely agree with you, and I did feel that way as a criminal defense attorney. I felt like, listen, I'm not helping anyone. I felt more that I was helping people as a prosecutor, but I did not feel that way as a criminal defense attorney. But my point is, when I say emotions, I'm saying, when you're looking through documents, as in records, as in whether it's financial records, whether it's correspondence, you don't know where you're going to find the smoking gun.
Yeah.
That's why I love.
You got to follow the thread, right? You see the thread, you pull on it, and you get to the next thread, and just keep going. Yeah. It's fun.
I think whether it comes to law, journalism, you cannot leave a stone unturned. You cannot leave a page unread.
Yeah. So I'm going to double back real quickly on something because it just occurred to me. So we were talking about the Investigators Toolbox, which is my kind of thing that I'm doing. So it is open to more than just private investigators. It's open to people in the investigative profession. So if you're tied in and you do investigative work, like maybe investigative journalism, that is a qualification to actually be a part of that site. You've heard the ads for this stuff on the show and all that. So I'm not going to do a big time plug for it, but just to get that out there, that it is available for folks that you don't have to be a licensed private investigator. You just have to be an investigative professional to be a part of that. So
I think it's really going to help me. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm not just saying it. Yeah. I think it's going to help me a lot because I need to go beyond my legal training. Yeah. And I need to be trained more in investigative tools.
Yeah.
Totally serious. I'm not just, because you're my friend. But
well, especially when you start you're working on cases that are all around the country, because of the network that's in there of having access to a network of investigators, whether it be through Toolbox or one of the other sites, one of the national associations like NCISS or NALI or something like that. Where you have the access to finding boots on the ground if you need them, if you need records pulled, if you need somebody interviewed and you can't get there, it's very easy to tap in to work with vetted investigators. You're not just going to the Yellow Book saying, "Hey, your website looks good. I'm going to call you." No, you're hiring somebody who's got some teeth behind them and what they're doing. So it's really really cool stuff. So. It's exciting to see you transition to do this stuff again. I have watched your career from the sidelines, which has been pretty cool to see all this different stuff happen. And let's talk about your book too. You got a book coming out, so
don't worry about that because it's
give me a plug.
It's very that. Thank you. It's completely unrelated to.
It's totally fine.
It's completely unrelated to the law, but I will say the pandemic, everybody's going through something, right? Everybody's going through something right now. And even when this podcast debuts, this episode debuts, we are still in the middle of the worst part. And that's why I think, for me to see you flourish during that, and thank God your family's safe, I think it's just, it's incredible. So I had just started writing, and I just think it's important for everybody. I mean, this is the point, Matt, right? Like, why did I change careers? It's not for money. Investigative journalists don't make as much money as lawyers, but it's because you have to do what you love.
Sure.
You have to do what you love to do. I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you're very ambitious. And I think it's the same way, is that, that's how I feel about investigative journalism.
Sure.
And that's why I'm willing to move wherever and do whatever it takes. But something else I love to do is write. And I think, which is also really important for a lawyer, for a journalist.
And an investigator.
Investigators, yes.
Yeah.
Investigators. We could mention this, because you were saying, what are some issues with investigators? If you are my investigator and you write a report, that report, with or without you, could potentially go in front of a jury.
Yeah.
And if there is a mistake in that report, that's a big problem.
So here's one of the other things that I've noticed too, that report needs to be concise, right? If you're putting a report in front of a juror and it's 12 pages, they ain't reading 12 pages. They're not getting through it. No, they're not.
No, right. No. I agree with you. On that. But what I'm saying is, it's also the lawyer's job. Like, let's say you write a 12-page report and I have you on the stand. I will put that entire report into evidence, right? But it is my job to only question you on the best parts to my case, number one. So we have that, during the direct and cross-examination, just kind of focus on the best parts. And then during my closing argument, again, hopefully with the aid of some demonstrative tool, because I'm very, very passionate in that juries respond to visual aids.
Yeah, that's true.
So, right. So what I would do, and I know people say it's old school PowerPoint. Well, it still works.
Yeah.
It still works. And so what I would do is I would have a PowerPoint or something up there that said, Investigator Spaier, and, do the bullet points of what you testified to. You're laughing. And
no, I'm just thinking about,
me and you in court.
No,
we would never. It would be ridiculous.
This is the thing. You're saying all this stuff, and you know what I'm thinking in my head? I'm just chuckling because I'm thinking of Bruno Maglia's shoes, and I'm thinking about gloves and the visualization of seeing these stupid pairs of shoes and the stupid glove.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. We have to tell them. Oh my God, we were together. We were together the night of the Bronco chase.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah, I think we were all hanging out. Yep.
We were at somebody's house. It wasn't Gabe's. It wasn't yours.
Yeah.
I think your Jewish parents never let us over because we were like animals. Like, you were like the nice Jewish family, and everybody else was like an animal.
That's so
we were never at your house, but we were together. I remember we were all in front of somebody's TV, and the basketball game was on, and then everyone, they were like pissed because I think it was like the playoffs or something.
No, you know what it was? It was the Rangers. It was hockey. The Rangers were in the finals.
Okay.
Game 6 of hockey. Although basketball was going on at the same time.
No, basketball at the same time, right? So we may have been watching hockey.
Sure.
Right, we may have been watching hockey, but then Gabe, my boyfriend at the time, he called us over. He's like, "Oh my God, like, look at OJ in the Bronco."
Yeah.
And that's where we were together. Isn't that crazy?
It's been a long time. Yeah. So that's at least 94. I'm not going back longer than that.
That was before I went to law school.
Yeah, that was a long time. We got tons of stories.
But okay. So to my original point is that it's the lawyer's job to extricate the most important parts of any document and explain that to a judge or a jury. That's the job. So I think writing reports is very important, correct? Yeah. And I also think this is the problem, Matt, when you have investigators who, there's no nice way to say this, who aren't as educated or skilled.
Right.
Is that it?
Well, no. So I think that's a good point here, right? So if you're not making the effort to make yourself better at what you're doing, if you're not watching webinars, if you're not doing continuing education, some states require
Yeah.
you to do
Yeah.
continuing education for your investigator's license. Some states don't, like New York doesn't, right? And if you're not making the effort to get better at what you're doing, then you're gonna have these problems, right? Where you're not gonna be able to articulate yourself. You're not gonna be able to potentially solve that particular problem. That's a fair point. I mean, we as professionals should always be continuing to try and make ourselves better at what we do. Always. There's no excuse for it, right? So that's a valid point.
Yeah, I think writing is a skill that's often neglected
Yeah. Yeah.
because investigators think, okay, we just go to the scene and we could do this and pull documents and this and that, but they're not putting the value in memorializing their actions because it could really screw up a case.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, when I got into college, my two weakest subjects were math and writing. So it's kind of funny that I ended up, owning my own business where I write reports every day. And,
That is funny.
when a business is your business, numbers are really, really important. Like accounting is really important. So I'm good at numbers now, and yeah, I'm actually a columnist for PI Magazine, so I write on a regular
Oh,
basis.
wow, that's great.
Yeah, I've been published in John
That's
Jay College
incredible.
textbook. Like I've done real writing, which is nuts. For a
That is
guy who had to
amazing.
take English 100 when he got into college. So
But then, I mean, okay, in all seriousness, whatever program we were in, thematic studies,
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it was an accelerated, it was an advanced
Yeah,
thing,
which
right?
was kind of bizarre. So I'll break down the fourth wall for people. So thematic studies is
Yeah.
pretty much a program that John Jay College started with the idea that you don't take tests, that your whole grades are based upon just reports that you write, and 100% of your grades is on writing papers, right? So here's a guy who they let into the program, but they're like, oh yeah, and by the way, you got to take English 100, which to me is like an oxymoron, right? I didn't score
Yeah,
wrong.
that
Like
was
I'm a
strange.
terrible test taker, right? So I didn't do good in the entrance exams in English. So they're like, you got to take remedial. I was like, yeah, whatever. So, like going through and having to do that, and then being in this program, which, by the way, I had professors going, "Oh, you went to school in New Jersey. They got really good schools there, so we're going to grade your papers differently than the folks that went through
Oh,
the city
I don't
school system."
even
Yeah,
I
so
don't
I had
even
that.
remember.
Yeah,
But do you think John Jay now? Okay, I know policing, law enforcement is one issue, but in terms of preparing students to go to law school, do you think they're doing a better job now?
Well, I mean, I'm not in the actual classes, but I
But just
think
from what you observe as
I
someone
think
who's taught there,
as an outsider, I absolutely 100%. I think what's
good.
interesting is I think the value of our degree that we got in 1990, whatever, right? The value of it has only gone up because the prestige of the school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, to me, it's like, yeah, we used to, John Jay High School, John Jay, College of Criminals, you name it, whatever, but it was
Full
good.
line.
It was, we played a couple of games of spades. It was all right.
And,
Uh,
well, I mean, we had the best time of our lives. We had a really good time, and it is a testament to what they do for the students to see the two of us here, uh, arguably almost 30 years later, as still
I'm
friends.
not copping to that, but yeah,
Okay,
fuzzy
I
math,
think
huh?
I'm right,
You're wrong. You're not.
but I'm saying, it's a really special place. I think
Yes.
John Jay is a really special place. I think the faculty is underrated.
Yeah.
I love John Jay, and I loved my professors,
Yeah.
and I felt I grew so much
Yeah.
as a person.
We're gonna have another professor on actually in a couple of weeks. I've been talking with her, and that's a surprise. So I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, yay! That's
Yeah.
great.
So we've had John Jay professors on the show already. Chelsea Binns, Dr. Binns is amazing. I love her. She's a good friend of mine and smart as a whip. And she's written yet another book. Actually, she just put out her whole thing is fraud. And she's a CFE. She was the president of the
Wow.
New York ACFE, and just a good friend. So I have strong ties to John Jay. Obviously graduating from there and then going back and teaching there, and I think it's necessary. And I do think what they're doing over there is pretty awesome. And they got a sports program now too, which they didn't really have when we were there. So
Sports.
like I think they just had a basketball team, so not like
No, wait a
soccer.
minute. I was on the dance team. They did have sports back then.
Okay, all right.
I
I remember.
performed in
Yes,
the gym.
yes.
Were you a game there when I performed?
Probably, yeah. It's all fuzzy, like I
My
said.
mother
It's
came, my
30
sister
years ago,
came.
apparently. So
My mother came, my sister came, and I performed part of the John Jay. Wait, was it the John Jay dance team? Yeah, we had outfits and everything.
nice. So we're going to end real quickly. But before we do that,
Wait, this is over?
yeah, it's over. I'm
Oh.
on it here. Nobody wants to hear about our college exploits.
First of all, yes, they do. What are you talking about? Yes, they do.
All
They
right.
totally do.
So
your kids
I'm going to
listen.
throw
Okay,
you.
we'll
I'm going
move
to throw
on.
you under the bus here, and we're going to talk about your dancing career. So tell me
Yeah.
your side gig here.
Thank you.
And what you do.
No, that's really
that
sweet.
is
That's really sweet.
actually very cool what you do. So tell.
That's really, really sweet of you, Matt, because it's perhaps the most important. My first career, I started when I was 4 years old. So I'm also an Indian classical dancer, and a lot of people have heard of Bollywood. So which you'll also think is very funny. So when I started on criminal defense work, I didn't really have much savings. And, in the beginning of criminal defense work, you're only getting a few cases. So
Right.
I only had enough work to sustain me for 3 or 4 days a week. And I was in Manhattan. I said, how can I make money with no overhead? The only thing I'm qualified to do is to
Legally.
teach dance. Legally, is to teach dance.
Slinging hash.
So I found this multicultural dance school. It's still there, Lotus in New York City. Please look it up. And I called them, and this is how long ago. I go in with VCR tapes to show them some performances. And the director and I, so I'm trained in Indian classical, and like ballet, there's different forms. So the form that they were teaching was very different. So she said, we have someone to do classical. Mm-hmm. What else do you have? So I showed her this tape, and it was from a movie song, which was the Bollywood name was just coming out then. Mm-hmm. So in New York, as far as I know, Lotus and I created the first ever Bollywood dance class in the United States.
Nice.
So that's how and that's really what taught me to be a choreographer as well. And like I told you, I'll tell you, it's when I hang up with you later on today, we're filming a music type of video for our families, and it'll be on YouTube. But dance is an enormously important part of my life. Sure. It is what connects me to my culture. Indian classical dance is connected to Hinduism, mythology. Sure. It is absolutely my heart and my soul, and as much of a priority as journalism and law is to me. So thanks for asking. And if anybody, by the way, the only thing I have to plug is I'm on Twitter. Yeah. Follow me, and at Seema Iyer ESQ. That's all.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Cool.
So so before we close on that, it's just a good point, right? So you got to have hobbies, right? I do music and stuff like that. So it's really important to have your professional life, but have that work-life balance. And it's cool that you do this thing in this, artistic expression, and you're able to kind of step away from, the doom and gloom. I can only imagine the depression of being a criminal defense attorney and just or working the DA's office and seeing the horrors that you're seeing, and not having an outlet to express yourself and just step away from that life for a little bit. It's really important to have that balance.
It is. And I am grateful that my mother instilled this in me. I mean, I really did start dancing when I was 3. Sure. So, and we've traveled the world, and we've performed, and it's been my life. And one thing that's so interesting, Matt, maybe you experience this with music, is that when you're doing your artistic endeavor, you're totally focused.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, I could be dancing in front of a dead body and I wouldn't notice it.
Right.
Like the law part, the journal, everything shuts off. I am immersed. I am focused in the art, and you're right. You have to have an outlet. You have to have something else.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Seema, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you. This was so
I'll
fun.
probably edit out all that college hijinks stuff, but we'll see if it makes it to the.
I'm not going to listen,
the regular
man.
show. Yeah. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll have Seema's contact information in the show notes.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck on the new endeavor. I'm excited to see you.
Thank you
with that, and I'm sure this is not the last we're going to hear from you. So
I hope not.
Seema Iyer, everybody, thank you. Have a great week. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
And we'll catch you guys on the next show. Take care.
Wow, so these guys definitely had another hour easy in them. So interesting to see how Seema became an investigative journalist. After working for Court TV as a lead anchor, we know she's on her way to some big things, and we congratulate her. Keep up the great work, Seema. We also want to thank Amos and USABugSweeps.com for sponsoring this show. Have you checked out Investigatorstoolbox.com yet? Remember, it only takes 41 cents a day to unlock the future of investigations. So make an investment in your business and yourself today. The 25% legacy discount ends this week. Don't miss out on the $50 savings. Use code PIP201836 to save even more. Got a question or comment about the show? Email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We want your feedback to bring you the best shows possible. We'll be back next Monday with a new show. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, download, tell your friends. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Until next time, we wish you a very happy new year and stay safe out there.